Ladies and gentlemen, Hard Nosed Derby podcast, full tilt remote. If anybody knows us, we're a little bit redneck anyways. We're actually doing a podcast from a bar in the middle of Stanton, Nebraska, Border Wars 2023. We've done podcasts in pools, living rooms, pool tables, never a bar. The reason we are here is because of, like I said, Border Wars 2023. We have Nebraska Derby live stream. I can't say in studio, in bar. What's up, fellas? How are y'all doing?
Good.
You're going to hear several different voices because I have 5 of them sitting here with me. The other asshole will be remote over the phone here in a little bit. So, guys, take a few minutes to introduce yourselves. Let the world know who you are.
Alrighty, well, my name is Trent Bossler, and I'm the owner of Nebraska Derby, born and raised from Nebraska. And to my right,
Eric Bosler. I'm his older brother. Been with Nebraska Derby for about 2 years now.
AJ Anderson from Iowa, but born and raised in Nebraska, so I know all the guys and everything. And I been doing it for 2 years.
Derek Court, Full Contact Derby TV, originally from Inwood, Iowa, live in New Mexico now.
Cody Pete. I'm from Dune, Iowa. Been with Nebraska Derby live stream for 2 years now, and we're glad to have you here.
Dudes, we seriously appreciate you. Kind of doing a collab. I know I was on with you guys for a little bit last night, and have you guys with us on today. How did the Nebraska Derby live stream start? How did it kick off? And usually I ask the second question, but I'm gonna let you answer that one first.
well, let's take a step back. We'll start with the website and how it came to be. Nebraska Derby actually started in 2009. It was under a different ownership at that time, and it was just the website and video platform at that time. It was originally started by Michael Wise out of Nebraska here. I'm uncertain of what town he's from exactly, but he's the one who started Nebraska Derby. I actually got involved in the Nebraska Derby, demolition derbies per se, when I was a younger kid. Andrew Haney, I was his neighbor, and Andrew and my older brother Derek, we started into the derby world. And one day, lo and behold, I'd say about 2016, 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, I got a GoPro camera. Back when the GoPros, the Hero 2 had just come out, and then it was the big ordeal with the Hero 3. I purchased the Hero 3, and I'm like, we're going to put this in a derby car. And from there, lo and behold, I started filming demolition derbies for my brother, for my neighbor Andrew Haney, and it kind of took off from there. In about 2019, I was approached by Michael Wise, who he at that time was going more into the racing field, and wanted to be kind of done with the demolition derby side of things. And he saw that I was starting to go around all these derbies in Nebraska, and I mean all of the derbies. I was hitting about 30 derbies a year, along with another kid that I was having go to all the Western shows here in Nebraska. And we would film these derbies, put them on YouTube for free for all these guys. And from there, then in 2020, well, back to 2019, in the start of 2020, we had a demolition derby get together, kind of like a parts buy sell trade here in Columbus, Nebraska. And as I was in the middle of acquiring, I started video equipment stuff, audio equipment. I was surprised by the Nebraska Derby community, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, all alike. They sponsored me a brand new video camera, and that kind of sparked my interest into the capabilities of doing a live stream. So in 2020, then for the 2020 season, we started to do live streaming, and our first show was actually Border Wars here in Stanton, Nebraska. And from there, we are now continuing the live stream. I reached out to these guys, starting with Cody. I was good friends with Cody, and he's like, hey, if you ever need any help with anything, reach out to me. I'd be willing to help you. And it was like a month before the show. And I call him up one day, and I'm like, hey, you still interested in helping with the Demolition Derby? And he goes, yeah, I guess. He was all like, well, we only got a month to do this. Yeah. And from there, then I reached out to my brother, Derek, and he was totally on board with going on with it. I also reached out to Andrew Haney, and I had the help of Andrew Haney with the sponsorship of some equipment to get this live stream rolling as well. And then our last gentleman over here, AJ, I reached out to him, and he's kind of another host for our show, and he does the on-track interviews, does pretty well, and that's kind of how Nebraska Derby came about. Since then, Nebraska Derby, I revamped the website. It's nebraskaderby.com. We also have a YouTube channel called Nebraska Derby, and then we're also on TikTok as well, Nebraska Derby.
One of the perks of being able to do what we do, we cover so many derbies, but with family and schedules and work and everything, you only have so much time, to get. So what I really like is you guys, and then Track Shot Live, that's two companies that are streaming derbies everywhere that cost the consumer $0.
Correct.
Free 99. And that Derby Nation and Derby Tees, they have their niche with what they do, but you guys, what you do, you started a second niche. My kids were watching the show last night, from our living room, and it cost me nothing. That is one thing that we really appreciate about you guys doing stuff like this, because we know it's not cheap. Anything we do anymore that's Derby related is not cheap.
Well, in the rise of the technology world too, we're able to start bringing the live show to the people for viewing, and Nebraska, Nebraska Derby, I personally saw that there was a lack of live shows around the area. Yeah. There's coast to coast shows that were starting to get aired, like you said, by Derby TV, Track Shot Live, just certain shows. Why not bring it to every derby around the state,
Now, here's the second question. The second part of the first question. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. What kind of cohesion do you need to put on what you do? Almost chess to checkers, you know what I'm saying? You have to figure out how to implement who you want in front of the cameras, camera angles, audio, which we were talking, earlier before we even started, all those pieces. How have you guys figured out how to keep the cohesion if something does go awry?
I think last night spoke for itself. Trent did. We take all the precautions. First and foremost, you need power to the cameras, and then there has to be some sort of internet at the venue or campus, whatever you want to call it. And then, last night we apologize again, but
we had a fast rain come through, and
a little bit of a quick pop-up cell, and it got western there for a minute, but
redundancy is another big thing too, having a backup of everything and knowing what to do when something goes down.
Just kind of a safeguards, and we all appreciated it. We could keep talking and bullshitting and sat there, and Trent said, hey, I got it, I'm gonna get this thing figured out, and he was running from one end of the track to the other. So
I even ran to the store after that too, just to make sure I had extra parts.
As the business keeps growing, we added a third camera. So last night first time we had a third camera on the track. We had one on each end, and we put one in the middle. So as we continue to develop and keep doing live stream, we keep that, so if something does happen, worst case scenario, camera does go down, hey, we have plenty of cameras to cover the angles. I got reading the comments on YouTube last night. There was a lot of positive comments, especially on our end cameras. You could see the entire track. Everyone loved it. We had our camera that rotates in the middle. you know, when action was down to only a couple cars left and focusing on that. I mean, there are a lot of positive things out of that.
Okay, was that what somebody was doing with a remote last night?
Yes, I actually was doing that.
Okay, because
behind
I
the scenes.
saw you kept looking, you know, pointing up to that camera, but then I couldn't see if it was actually rotating.
Between Trent and AJ, they had that covered. So,
and I mean, I am the man behind the scenes. I run everything. Them guys, they talk, they keep the show rolling. I run all the cameras behind. I have a matrix switch that I use, and I can switch between scenes. And also, another addition that we had this year was we added a track mic, so we can go do on-track interviews, and that's my right hand man over here, AJ. That's what he's been doing last night, and we're going to continue doing it this year as well. So.
I know a lot of people, if you put in the world of Derby, if you are most of the guys are talkers until you get a camera in front of them or a microphone in front of their face.
Ask AJ about that.
Yeah, last night was doing that first night of doing the on-track interviews. That first one, a little nerve-wracking, but once a guy gets settled in, you can bullshit with about anyone, you know. You just let them tell you how it went and just go it from there.
And that it's every driver too, you know. Even when we get interviews back in the pits, some people don't want to do it, and some people do. I'm not going to force it upon them, you know.
Correct.
You know,
give
it a few times, but I do tell them though. I said if you do win on the track, you expect to be expected to have an interview coming up.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Well, you want to put a bag over your head or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't want the camera to see your face, but you're still going to get your voices heard.
Yeah.
Nice thing though is there's a couple guys that they admitted they don't want to be on camera, but they make it known. Jacob Prusman's example, 448, he threw up more prize money for a Mad Dog in one of the Knights classes we'll talk about, but because he doesn't want to be on camera. But he's like, here you go, you guys represented it on camera for me. Here's the money. This is what it's for. Let them know. So that's a nice thing. Some of them guys out there in the Derby world will do that.
They'll sponsor in person, you know, not on camera, not on audio.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. NLR, John, I've talked to him personally. He will not get on here because he doesn't know what to do with his hands. But as much as he's won, around, he still has to do the interviews, but you can tell he just doesn't like them. That's just not him. He'll bullshit with you. He'll Snapchat you for days, but he will not talk in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah.
He just doesn't like it.
And on the flip side of that, there's guys that we've brought up that they are more willing to talk on camera. And the guy sitting to my left here, special guest from Full Contact Derby TV.
What's going on?
We've got 3 Dereks at one table.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
And I know one is spelled different.
2 are spelled right, I mean.
Oh, you both are spelled the same.
We're spelled right.
Shit. So, Derek, you were on Border Wars live stream last year.
Yep.
You drove all the way from New Mexico
Yep.
to come do it this year. This ain't your first rodeo.
No. I've been doing Full Contact Derby now. Well, Gladiators of Steel / Full Contact Derby. This is my second year doing it with Gumby and Johnny, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, towards the beginning of 2 years ago, you know, it kind of split, moving from track shot. You know, Gumby did, and I got on there at the very end, and they wanted to do something more Utah-based, West Coast, because it just costs so much money to fly all the way across the country, you know, and keeping everything kind of localized for us, West Coast, mainly stir and dirt shows, was a whole lot easier. And then it was kind of awesome, man, because I grew up watching Gumby.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my idol growing up for Derby. And, one day, and he was like, hey, you just want to do this with me? And I was like, man, I'd be honored.
Yep.
So it's an absolute blast doing it all the time, and something special about Utah too. I started running there 4 or 5 years ago, and I just kind of enjoyed the reckless abandonment out there.
We have talked so much. Utah, in my opinion, is on a different level. I've talked about, in-car footage of Robbie Layton from one end to the other in a Cadillac. I mean, just driving through dudes, and I'm like, there's no way that you should be able to walk when you get out of that fucking thing.
It's completely different from what you know. They put enough water on the dirt just to keep the dust down, and it's grip it and rip it, man. I'm almost more comfortable starting in a circle now than I am parked up against a dirt berm.
Yep.
You know, it's because I know what to do in that situation. I'm excited. I'm already going. I'm usually the guy that locks the brakes up and bunches the pack up so I can turn the car first and get whatever shot I want. But it's just, I don't know, man. The mountains in the backdrop back there, and I'm just all about the reckless abandonment. It's so fast.
It's beautiful recklessness.
Yes.
When you're sitting there and you're watching cars get destroyed, and you just look behind the stands, and you've got the mountains back there, and the horizon, the sun setting, it is almost a perfect picture.
It
is what I would say. That we've always kind of talked about a bucket list show. We've all been to Blizzard Bash. We've been to Capital Carnage. We've been to Spring X. I've been to T-Bone. That Stir and Dirt in July is my bucket list. That's where I want to go just to watch for an entire weekend. Not work, just watch. Just to verify in my brain that I know why I wanted to go there.
And I've been to different shows that aren't Stir and Dirt there, one or two, and there was 15,000 people there losing their mind. And these aren't Derby people. These are just normal people that know nothing about Derby. And just the fireworks that go off when somebody gets rolled. Somebody catches you in second gear across the track and puts a bumper to the roof in one shot. It's something special. And that adrenaline that comes over you out there, that's what drew me to it. I love the Midwest shows. That's probably why I like Border Wars so much, because it gives me that Utah feel for the Midwest. Because a lot of places too, like, I get it, you're calm, cool, calculated driving, and you have to be that way, especially with the group of drivers you got here.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you know, when you just turn it up, hit second gear, you know a wheel's going down, you know the trunk's going down, and you got a short timeline. That's what makes this place special.
Yes. And I'm going to sit here and say it. What I've seen on video to compared to what it was last night, videos don't do justice. How fast these guys are going when it's fucking rowdy.
Dude, the track here too, the conditions, even last night with all that rain, it's just made it more tacky. And I'll come back to this one as many times as I can. I can't say, I'm going to say it a whole bunch again today, just like I said last night. I love coming to Border Wars because it is absolutely rowdy.
Yeah. Now, one of the guys sitting at the table is actually running today, Saturday night. Mr. Cody, you are in the stock class, is what they call it?
So what ended up happening was Jacob Prusman was going to have a show at the end of April, I believe, and
In Iowa.
In Iowa, yep. Unfortunate circumstances came up. We don't really have to talk about that, but he got extended an invitation to have the 80s Old Iron Stock Mix class here at Border Wars 2023, and Rob was on board with it, Fairboard was on board with it, and so yeah, you don't have a bunch of guys having to cut their cars apart to come run this show that want to come run this show. I mean, I know there's plenty of Nebraska guys. We came from 2.5 hours away. Iowa guys, there's plenty of guys that come further away, but it was pretty neat to see different promoters working together to just kind of help car counts and help the shows out or whatnot. Yeah, it was next to nothing. I mean, the whole Derby community helping each other out in that situation due to unfortunate circumstances. So.
And you have a soft spot in Steven's heart because you run Mopar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I always tell him he's not right. Cody's not right either.
Most
but
people say I'm not right either. So. there's a pointy on the back of a shocker wagon. People are looking at me funny already. So.
And not one on the front.
Nope.
No.
Stock flat bumper on the front.
But now you're running with family tonight as well.
Yep. I'll be out there. My dad and brother are actually, as we're talking, they're teching in cars. One of the stipulations to them working at this show was they're not allowed to tech that class. So hats off to Rob again for, keeping everything fair or whatnot, because it'd be basically checking out your competition with a flashlight and a scope.
Correct.
But yeah, so my dad and my brother will both be there with me too. So, but it is a singles event, but everywhere you go, it's 2023. There's nobody that derbies alone anymore.
And if they do, it's usually a bad fucking day.
Yeah.
And Derek's pointing like, me?
Yeah.
So, guys, is this your first show of 2023 on the live stream side?
Yes, that is correct.
What do you have? Do you guys have anything scheduled for the rest of the 23?
Yes, so we actually have Stanton Smackdown coming up in August. This year, I am going back just to record Inwood Insanity Clash. They opted out of the live stream this year, but however, you can catch that later in the month, next month, July 4th. Insanity Clash. Again, Nebraska Derby is going to be down there filming, and 2 to 3 days, give or take. Most of the time, it's the next night. I'll have it up on YouTube, all the classes, all the heats. You can catch the action there. And then we're also looking at adding another show, Dixon Concord Demolition Derby. We're still in the works on it, so I don't want to say too much just yet until we know for sure. But that would be our 4th show this year if that goes through.
Like I said, that's why I wanted to come up here and hang out with you guys, just to support what you guys do. Let's hit on last night. Let's hit on it. I actually asked Derek and Cody while we were sitting there for the live stream what was their favorite part of the night. Neither of them could really answer me at that point in time. You've got a Klingler kid from Minnesota that was
two of them
annihilating, and then the second Klingler came out, and I was like, well, what the hell is that one?
Yeah.
And they drove the exact same.
Yep.
I don't think you guys could see it. The first Klingler, when he came out, I had some guys from Minnesota to my right, and about halfway through that heat, about 3 or 4 of them were going like this. Calm down. But there's that. Everybody has got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yep.
So he was just wrecking shit.
Oh yeah.
Some of the guys I think were driving, in my opinion, almost like a one and done.
Yeah.
The pace never stopped. The pace was wide open. They had no consideration of what they were going to have to fix all night long.
Well, and that's what makes this place so hard, because we used to talk about Blizzard Bash drivers as being this elite group of guys, and it still is. But when you get down to the real nitty gritty of it, these are guys that have ran it 5, 7, 8 years, and you have all the other drivers that don't run it, but they run twice as many local shows. So there's so many good drivers here, and especially with Rob's pink flag rule, where the whole state now loses all the money if you're bagging. I sure didn't want to be that guy if I would have gone out there,
So we will hit that. Rob did announce last year that you sandbag, you got a pink flag. That meant if your team won, you were out of that extra $1,000 for your state, each person. He made it this year. If you got that pink X, your entire team was out for that extra $1,000 if they won. And I think that was a pretty solid game changer, because there was no bagging. He was on their asses last night. We kept talking 03 life. Cars hard as wedding pricks, but steering deletes.
Yep.
And they were trying. They were doing everything possible to get it turned around, ease into it, to at least get it pointed straight before they put it to the wood. And you saw that hurdling from Minnesota. He would think he got it lined up. with that 03, and he'd start putting the throttle to it, and next thing you know, it just turned.
Yeah, it
And
was.
he was still on their asses,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it was a tough watch, you know, because that guy he's trying to get to the action. But one of the other things that's interesting about this show is that a Minnesota car can actually drive over there. You can tap your buddy, and that resets your clock. And that's where the not team show aspect comes into play. So, I mean, if they're driving together and, you know, you notice your buddy over there, he doesn't have steering, he can get stuck in a corner. If you let him get a little tap in, that resets his clock, and he still can qualify.
It's crazy to me. Last year, 03s were allowed, but nobody showed up with them. And now this year, they're starting to trickle in. And the Midwest is definitely behind the East Coast on the 03 game because they've been running them for a long time out there. But here, from what I noticed, wheel offset. You know, that was huge to me because they had wheels, like even 550s, definitely not the tire, or even solids, not to run on fronts out here. The track is so hard, it bites so hard. You know, guys are running full centers on fronts, and I'm just like, man, if you look at the side profile of your car, the bumper was so narrow, the wheel's sticking out a good 4 or 5 inches. So hopefully after last night, there's a pretty big learning curve on what they need to do.
That's when when you go back to Blizzard Bash, and a lot of times Blizzard Bash is that first time where you see somebody try something. 16 or 17, that's the first time I ever saw 03s with 23s on the front. Still with the bumper height, but they weren't taking those wheel shots. They were actually hitting the front rails and not busting ball joints off or control arms. And now you're talking a whole different level when there you can change steering boxes. You don't have to run the rack. You don't have to run the struts. You don't have to run the cradle.
Steering.
You can do hydro. And here, everybody's still got the Explorer struts on the front. You know, you see everything working, and now you're seeing steering racks. I told you guys last night that Colton Newhofflin said, yeah, everybody's like, bring an 03. Bring an 03. You won't lose steering. He said, my ass. He said, I'm pretty sure I never saw an 03 all night last night that didn't lose steering.
Nope, there was just one
On the Iowa team.
Isaac Wall.
Isaac Wall. He rolled out of there looking good.
Yeah, he stayed clean, and but he was traveling with the back end the whole
He
time.
also had 23s, and they were definitely balled.
They were pneumatic tires.
Were they pneumatic?
Yeah.
And they were shaped right. They didn't have a strong edge, so when he'd get hit, he'd slide. And that was definitely the best one I saw set up last night.
I think this year there's more old iron than I think I saw last year.
More caddies.
Old iron caddies.
Caddies. Like last year for Nebraska, which this is going to air Thursday, so everybody's going to be able to already watch it. Nebraska doesn't have any turners.
Nope.
So that's a changer when you usually got 2 GM wagons,
And
there.
No Turner groupies either.
Yep. So Missouri is really known for new style Fords, in my opinion. They're a lot cheaper. A lot of the Missouri guys, they run so many local shows, county fair shows, that they do one build. They can usually get 2 or 3 shows out of one and then start on the next one. Last night was the first time I've ever seen that many old irons out of a group that wasn't Caddy Nation. With Rob and Trey, because those guys usually are all in old iron caddies. Trey, some, old
He
iron.
dabbles a little bit.
Yeah, he's kind of like I'm not even going to put him on blast today. I'm in that good of a mood. I'm not going to put Trey on blast today. But guys, I'm going to ask you again. What was the best part? And I got 5 of you sitting here.
All right, go around the table then.
Last heat. That's a flat out. That was nasty.
I'm going to say when the wagon got smashed in that second or third heat.
And he is talking about Jarek Eddy. And it was good enough that you actually brought Jarek up on the live stream last night.
I went and found him, and when he walked off the track giving us a thumbs up and waving, he had a good time, and he knew his car was rough, but I was like, that's a guy in good spirit. So I went and found him later that night, like, we're going to bring him up. Unfortunately, he's not fixing his car, but he broke bolts on the block, I believe, or something in the motor is what set him up. But he was going to fix that car otherwise until he found that.
That passenger rail was
What passenger rail?
on that wagon. Yeah. It was like maybe 4 inches long. It was completely S-curved. The whole spring pockets pushed back. The back of the car actually looked all right, the frame wise, but there was.
It was rough.
It was bad.
And I did a little preview through the pits this morning, a video, like it's on Facebook. You can see it, Nebraska Derby. Took a video through the pits, and them Eddie boys, their cars are all back together except the wagon, obviously. They busted their butt all night. And I don't know, tonight it's going to be Team Minnesota versus Team Missouri. I think it's going to come down. Iowa, there's a good handful loaded up their cars, major problems. Iowa's still got a lot of good clean cars to come in tonight's consies, but I mean, Minnesota and Missouri, it's going to be a showdown, I think. And you're talking about the Gaines cars. I mean, looking through the pits this morning on them, they look good. All the ones that had suspension ripped out, every single one of them had it back on. I mean, hats off for them guys. They worked their butt off. But tonight's show, I don't know. To me, it's going to be better than last night, I think, personally. I mean, last night, my favorite part, probably Heat 4. Or Heat 3 or 4, I can't remember which one it was. But, I mean, you were seeing whoever the Fitzpatrick boys, they had 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. They were just sending it. They were in that heat together. That was my favorite part because you could hear them going across the track the whole way, just nosing. They didn't care. I mean, the Minnesota boys, they were having fun, and they were, some of them heats, they were good team driving. Like Cody Gaines, he come up, he knew his partner had no steering, helped him get that tap, and like Cody talked about earlier, I mean, where of his surroundings. I mean, tonight, talking to Derek yesterday, I wish the consi started a little sooner because then it'd give them guys more time to work on their cars. But depending on how the consi plays out, tonight might be a better show than last night. And last night, if you weren't there, catch us on YouTube and watch it, but it did not disappoint at all.
Oh, no, zero disappointment.
The tempo, I think, for the main, because you don't want to be the guy that loses a chance for your whole state at $1,000. That's got to be in the back of your mind. I think the pace is going to be a whole lot faster in the main than we've ever seen it before. But, man, for Rob, as a promoter, to do that, that's super brave.
It's ballsy.
Because then you come into the factor like, well, so-and-so wasn't driving so hard, but you pink flag so-and-so. And last night, he wasn't really put in that situation. But then again, these are the heats. And now tonight, man, that's going to be interesting.
One thing we've always said, whether it's covering Derby, promoting a Derby, or just watching a Derby, never leave the outcome in the official's hands.
No.
Do that shit yourself.
Yep.
Take care of you. And have your guys each take care of you. And it usually always plays out at the end. But there's the thing. Nebraska, the last couple of years, were so deep. So deep. And now one, is that right, Cody? One went through last night, straight to the feature?
One guy, Greg Brandel, made it through for Team Nebraska, yes.
So the rest, the other 8 cars, because they were only 9 deep after Tech. So you got 8 other cars that are trying to get through a consi that they're taking. Do we know how many they're taking yet?
So one of the interesting things is that kind of can change on the fly, because last year I know that they had 8 Iowa guys, and of course you don't want to make them fight team to team. So they said whichever team has the biggest number coming in, so which would be Iowa, they had 8 cars. They were going to take it down to 8 cars. But that meant that if, say 2 Iowa guys have mechanical failure, I mean, there could have been 2 drivers from any other state that showed up. So it's on the fly decision, I think, but it definitely changes the game up.
And we did see last night a lot of dumb shit happen. That mechanical failure,
yeah.
starters or transmissions or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Newhoffen's car is still really good.
Yeah, Bryce Lanu, just a wire pulled out of the distributor clip. The clip was still up in the distributor with a zip tie on it. Soldering broke, wire pulled out.
I don't know what that's like. I don't have that vintage distributor in my car.
Yeah, Mr. LS to my left here.
Now, that's something that really, as soon as he said that, Missouri had a lot of LSs.
They did.
And
they were running good.
Yes, their shit runs. Corey Ludington is a LS diehard guy,
yeah.
usually 6.0,
Yep.
Dino Fisher as well.
Yep.
And it's just so weird. We always, it keeps going back to progression. It's so crazy when you walk through the pit and see somebody have a laptop hooked to their car, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Changing timing.
Well, hold
Changes
on.
the timing?
I'm going to give it a little bit there and hit enter, and you're like, what the hell? And then the timing's changed. The RPM limits have changed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn it up another 600 RPM before it chips. Oh, what the hell?
And there was plenty of guys in Missouri last night bouncing it off the chip. I mean, that was made for good TV.
I'm just a fan of it because I've lost what I've been down on 3 coil packs before. I've had 3 cylinders firing and that car still went. Like I couldn't put it on the trailer at the very end of it,
Correct.
but still running.
Yep.
Still moving. And I don't know. That's what sold me too, because you lose a radiator, cover the motor in water, no big deal. Rip a coil pack off, lose a plug wire, no big deal. And that's what sold me on. And a lot of those cars last night from Missouri, they were not running on all 8. They took a beating. How many times? Because there was just more numbers in Iowa and Minnesota. It felt like last night Missouri and Nebraska, a few times they were deer in headlights, man. It was hold on, because they had 5 or 6 cars coming after him. Just like Eddie in that wagon, man. He was doing everything he could. But being here, seeing the whole teamwork of Missouri, especially the Eddies, I don't think there's a better team here that works with that kind of cohesion.
Correct. We have we haven't been able to get up to them guys yet. They used to support us so much. They'd come to all our shows, and they'd run our stock rules. We had a show with 7 cars in the stock class. 6 of them were them, and 1 was a young kid, Eddie Chick's son, Zane. And they had a little bit of stuff done to Zane's car that probably shouldn't have passed, and they were wanting to cut it. And every Eddie came over and he said, "You don't make him cut nothing." They said, "Man," our tech said, "We can't do that." He's like, "No, we're not going to go out here and destroy this kid." Which that showed utmost respect right there. But as soon as Zane was out, then it was on.
Oh, yeah.
These guys don't care. They will junk each other's shit coming out of their own shop. They don't care. They're there to put on a show for the crowd. And you saw, Junior and a caddy. He's never run a caddy before. He did tell me that last night. He was going to, man, everybody says they're so hard. We're going to see. He had caddy problems in the ass.
Yeah.
The ass went down. It didn't come up. He got cleared. Jarek in the wagon. I've never seen him in an old iron wagon before. And it was toast.
Yeah.
Toast. But those guys, they never get rattled. Whether it's Danny Weaver or Caden or Junior, whoever, you can't really get them out of their element. They're there to put on a show, drive a shit wide open, LS screaming, GHE spragless transmissions, grab and reverse, never lifting.
Yeah, none of them lost transmission last night either.
No.
Nope.
And there was a lot of other teams that did.
Team Iowa, especially, I think they had training issues.
Well, and then, you're seeing, even with four plates starting, you're seeing people get hit so hard, it's Z-ing frames and breaking transmissions.
Oh, yeah.
There was some brutal brutal carnage when we were walking through the pits last night.
You know, we always had that conversation. Everybody was like, well, why are you letting them tie them in? You can tie your transmissions in. That's on you.
Yeah.
If you want to tie it in and take that chance of busting that transmission, so be it.
No.
Yeah, I disagree.
Like, I look into, like, last year, you had, I think it was Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, and don't remember the other team. Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota.
Illinois was the hammer last year. I mean, you got Austin Johnson on the team. You're going to send it no matter what. That's it. But I think Minnesota took notes from last year, and they decided to be the hammer this year. Every single one of them. Like
Yeah.
Derek said, that one that had four in rows.
I wish they were
boys.
outlawed. Can we outlaw them fucking things?
Thank you.
Oh, man. See, I love them. When you get them sounding good, oh, yeah. I'm a big fan.
Four of those don't sound good.
Popcorn farts. That's what it is.
It's a very unpopular opinion I have, but
Yeah, I'm gonna take some shit
This
for that.
this
but-
this goes by state border, okay? Like Minnesota absolutely loves those things.
and
and,
we're-
Windows and Windows nets.
Yeah, and us from Iowa, we're just like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
they are. I just can't do it. They are very distinctive sounding, without a doubt.
like earlier when you were talking about the first tee, I forget his last name, the
The clinger.
Klinger. They were saying calm down, and then I look to my right and I see Derek and Cody sitting there on the stand.
Oh
Telling
yeah.
them to turn it up, and you can see a little smile on his face.
He
and it's
actually
just
looked.
to
He
the
looked
floor we
right
went.
at us. He looked right at us, and we were just, and we gave him the go. And he had a smile ear to ear, man. I mean, that was cool to see.
He kept doing it. He
Oh,
looked
yeah.
back up again, and boom, he was off. And I was just like, man, that guy's having a whole lot of
yeah.
fun.
He
right
came
now.
up. He came up to the trailer about probably 3 or 4 came up and talked to me.
Yeah.
And he
we
goes, "You
should've
like
got him.
that?" I'm like, "What wasn't there to like about it?"
That and
It was awesome, dude. That was sweet.
after the heat was over, Rob looked at me and I gave him the huge wave-o sign.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes. I was like, that dude's got some balls.
He actually, you know, what was crazy to me in all the Cadillacs that I saw here, they did the rear quarters delete and the flip, but they had them all setting so low. And I don't even know how many cars, 10, 15 of them all went to the ground last night.
Yeah.
Over half of them.
Yeah.
And to me, when I set those things up, I put the back at 20 inches because I want to know. To me, it's like, all right, if I was going to build a metric GM, I have the same concept of building the trunk. I just need this thing to flip up and make sure it goes up no matter what and packs. And then, come in the next consi or whether I make it to the main, I'll suck it down low as long as everything's, locked in. And then you could tell, though, a lot of guys weren't used to running caddies before.
We actually hit on it last night. There's, in my opinion, there's certain places that you want to try and experiment with shit. But I never really thought that Border Wars would be that place where you want to experiment with something. You want to try something different. You want to take a car that you've never built before. Mason Larson will tell you that you build a car until you master it. And then you go to another one. Whether it's 9802s, 03s, caddies. We all kind of know caddy rear ends suck. Kind of like a regular metric GM. Their shit, they're not hard back there.
They take more work, and then your gas tank protector comes into play, your control arms.
Package tray.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that they're junk, but that's one of those cars that I really enjoy building. And I'm the guy. I don't know. I run a lot of old iron GM, and I'm going to tell you, Impalas are different, LeSabres are different, 88s are different from 98s, and I don't know if I quite agree with running that car to a master, because I don't know. I just enjoy building a variety of cars, and I don't want to. I feel weird about this. I'm about to break out into some Fords, and I don't even know how I'm going to fit in the damn things yet. But I'm making the push and the effort to try the new style. I don't want to deal with anything 80s below 03, but the 03s, man, they kind of look appealing to me. And I don't know if I'm going to set one up as high. Like, if I was coming with one of those here, you know, it makes sense going against the caddies to be able to clear them, knock the core support out, knock the radiator out. But me, watching everybody with the forward spindles and the way they're kind of putting the angles, especially with the A-arms, I don't know if I would have welded them down because their ball joints are pitched all the way in. But I don't know. I would set one a whole lot lower so I could still hit wheels with it.
We have a lot of
me.
guys that on the old iron stuff, they want to keep level.
Yeah.
And then they have actually been starting to do where they're lifting the ass of them up on the new styles to try to keep that levelness too, you know, so it's not trying to pitch at the boxes or whatever. You're just getting it to push. I'm pretty sure every 03 had quite a bit of rake on it last night.
Lots
of it.
That one old boy from Nebraska, that son of a bitch, the ass was about 8 inches off the ground, and the bumper looked like it was about 28 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
Suspension delete kit.
Yeah.
It was.
You know, he was right in front of your all's table, and I'm just talking the rack was hanging on the ground, the rod ends were on the ground with it, and
it looked pretty ugly. I mean, but yeah, 03 life, like you said.
when you have a rule set that you can't change everything that you need to change, I don't know if there's really an advantage for that 03, and everybody keeps saying, man, that they're so hard. The fucking things are retarded hard.
Yeah.
You can make them even harder, but you can't do that in this rule set.
No.
You know, you're not going to Blizzard Bash where you can swap out cradles and switch boxes and do this and do that. So I don't know if there's that much advantage to them over like a 9802 that is done correctly.
You know, I'm looking at some of the height that they had out of the 9802s last night and the way the backs were set. You know, you didn't get to see the full use of the Missouri cars. Like I said, that last heat, there was 3 of them in the middle. They were just deer in headlights because you had 4 guys from Iowa and 4 guys from Minnesota. But if they would have had more teammates, those cars would have been deadly. But like I said, it was pretty much 8-on-3 that last heat.
Yeah.
And, you know,
My wife noticed it. She was like, was there a beef there? I was like, no. That was
wrong place, wrong time.
wrong place, wrong time. But when you know that one team has already got several guys already going through to the feature right out of the heats, they wanted to make sure that there was no other of that Missouri group going right out of that heat.
Yeah.
If they're going to go the hard way. A couple of them, I think, one of them was Joey Prater was an axle that broke off.
Yep.
And that's the first time I've ever heard an axle break.
When you heard that pop, that was a very distinct sound.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah. I think he got a little steering issue, and he's got an axle to fix. It looked like Henry Ray had a starter dropped out when they picked it up. I could see the starter hanging. You're talking cars that are still really hard.
and they get plates on them.
They get 2?
They get
They get
8
2
total.
More? They get 8 total, so
They have
actually
to-
get 6.
Yeah. Yep.
But
So
I think they said, talking to them guys this morning, they're going to save a couple plates for after the con, see if they need them.
yeah.
So
Yep.
they put, I think, probably half of them on.
Yeah.
That's why I said this Conti battle today between Minnesota and Missouri is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Even you throw
Nebraska's
Nebraska's a
in there.
wild card.
They're the underdog right now,
Yep.
but
They're the underdog, but
they're putting their cards back together.
there's lots of good drivers that had hard luck. So
Well, that's the thing. You know, if you've got a car that's pretty hurt and you're going to pull it down, you're going to do what you got to do to it, you're kind of on your last leg. You can ruin somebody's day in a hurry just to go be that hammer. You know what? Hey, fuck this. I'm going from this end to this end, and we're playing pinball in the middle. Sorry if I hit you. Sorry about your luck. But this is what I'm going to do. And then you're talking suspension deletes. You're talking, you know, ball joints and getting the ass ends to go back down in the dirt. You can be that hammer for 5 minutes, knowing I'm not going to win this, but we're sending it.
if you're going down, you're taking somebody with you.
Correct.
Last year, you know, I was talking to Zach Anderson, and he was like, man, I know I don't have the car to win this, but they were going out there, and Randy Lanou was out there in a wagon, and he was like, man, if stuff goes even remotely bad, I'm going nose to nose with that thing just to put Nebraska in it. And that kind of relentlessness is what Nebraska still has without the guys to go out there and kind of ride or last longer. So it's always fun to watch them. And if you're sitting at home, watching this, all these guys are young and hungry. They definitely need some more guys to come. And Rob's gonna get mad at me. Every year I fight him to try and let me come run this because I'm from Iowa, still got some property up there. And I'm like, man, I'm not gonna come out there by myself. Eddie did it last year, and I give him a lot of respect for that. Or I'm sorry, Julian Suter did. But I've even asked Rob, like, I'll show up with a car unpainted. You put me on the team with the least amount of cars. That would be something I would like to see, just to make sure you can help one more team fill. That's my only criticism.
Yep.
Just because I want to run it. It's just such an awesome show to be here.
Now, Derek, how much you're pretty much doing the Utah area and the New Mexico stuff? How much different is the rule set there compared to here at Border Wars?
So actually, working with Chad Markley quite a bit with CDA, we've taken his limited weld rules, which are really close to Rob's, and all of Texas has basically adopted those rules. And that was something we pushed just because Texas, man, is 7-8 hour shows in between. But their payouts, it's still crazy down there. There could be 7 cars, and they're still going to pay out over $8-9 grand. And that's if you want to come down and run, and you got anything with like even a Capital City Carnage build, that's the rule set down there. Get with me, and we basically plan vacations. There's 2 derbies a year in Burnett. You got the Lone Star the Caves, Blue Bonnet Cafe. There's just so much to do down there. And Belton, that's another great one down there. That's inside a rodeo arena. The next night they have the PBR. Last year they had Kevin Fowler playing right after the Derby. There's a lot of cool spots. Parrington is probably one of the nastiest shows for limited weld that you're going to run into too, because those guys, they have zero fucks given.
We love those though.
That's what that feel is here too, and that's
yes.
You just crave it.
Last night, I'm telling you, I don't know how it could have got any better. I really don't. Now, if you could have put another 8 guys on Nebraska,
Oh, absolutely.
that could have been a significant game changer.
And you know what? I'll go ahead and say it. If there are some Nebraska drivers that want to come next year, hit me up. If you want some Fords, I got some Mopars. I'm pretty stingy about selling that old iron, but that other stuff, I will make you awesome deals on cars if you'll come help these guys out, flat out.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, Nebraska really in my opinion, they dominated last year. Really did.
They did.
I don't know if it's just a little bit of a wrench, or you've got somebody that's sitting up here on the top. You kind of want them to get a peg or 2 knocked out of them a little bit, because that prize fighter, you got 2 heavyweights going at it, and you got one guy with a 50-0 record, and you got one guy with a 34-16 record. You always pull for that 34-16. He might not be an underdog, but in that situation, he is. Yes, I'm born and raised from Missouri, but I've got plenty of friends in Iowa. I would not have an issue with Iowa winning. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't have an issue with Minnesota winning.
I've said it a bunch. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm biased. I'm pulling for Iowa too, but it didn't matter because I already had Nebraska guys, because I had some parts on the truck and trailer, and I said, man, anything you need, you let me know, and that went for anybody. Mm-hmm. And it's cool to see that cohesion in the pits, and it doesn't matter what state you're on. Everybody is giving everybody anything. Transmissions. We saw all sorts of tires going around last night, spindles, you name it. It's awesome to see.
Well, here is the part of the episode that we were talking. We're going to get some dickhead on the phone. We'll be back with you here in just a second. Well, we've got my partner on the phone, since he's got all this work stuff. Hey, Peckerhead, what's going on?
Oh, just not at one of the biggest shows of the year,
I don't know why everybody's sitting, and we're sitting in a bar.
That's where I need to be.
So, I've got all the Nebraska Derby guys here. What'd you think of last night?
It looked like Missouri wore a target.
And most all of them are fixed.
Most all of them. I was talking to them today. That big group chat that we got, they were like, oof, we could have used a couple more cards.
So, what do you...
I mean, the amount of junk that was made there last night was insane. For that being the show that it is, and them having to go, I mean, they've got to run those cars again. Maybe twice.
Yeah, on the Missouri side, we're hoping twice. And I think on the Nebraska side, they're hoping twice. And the Iowa side, they're hoping twice.
It's just, I don't know. What I was watching last night is that looked like one of the better tracks I've ever seen. It looked like it was hard and fast.
I absolutely love that track. Last year, I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me was Eric Floyd's Imperial that was digging in Blizzard Bash, and every single mod car out there hooked up, and none of them sunk.
Yep.
Well, like what I was watching last night, I'm not even talking about the track surface. The berms held up because they were, just beaten on berms last night.
Yeah, they sharpened up them berms. They widened them out. Actually, last year they were up over the ball diamond fence, but now they shortened them and then they widened them out, and then they put that sharp cut on them. So, I mean, yeah, if you had a
Derek, we know all too well about straight cut berms now.
Oh yeah, and if you had a beat going balls deep in there, I mean, you weren't coming out. But one of the good things about the show is if you do it yourself, you're screwed. But if somebody else pushes you, Rob will pull you off. So
we have thought that forever. The whole time we were putting on derbies, that was a moral quandary with do we pull them or do we leave them? And finally, there toward the end of us putting on shows, we figured out how to stop it. We made our debt burn so hard that we couldn't get stuck in them or go over them.
Trials and tribulations.
Oh, well, and 14 skid loaders.
And 3 days worth of work.
yeah, that'll do it.
I did not miss that whatsoever.
Well, since all these guys are here, what do you want? You got anything you want to ask them or talk about?
Well, what I wanted to, I don't really have any questions or anything. I just wanted to give you all a little praise. That live feed y'all had rolling last night, that shit was money. I was sitting at home. It was literally as simple as pulling it up on my phone and mirroring to my TV. That simple. Quality was killer. I mean, I sat in my living room, watched it free. But what y'all are doing is killing it. Keep rolling with it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yep, it's available on NebraskaDerby.com. It's as simple as clicking the red tab at the top when you go to NebraskaDerby.com. It takes you right to our live stream.
Yeah, I mean, it was so easy. Like I said, I had 2 buttons and I had to pull up on my 70-inch.
And that's saying a lot if it's simple talking about you.
Easy.
You can't do shit.
I know
You're 6.5 hours away, dickhead.
And I will kick you right in the dick.
Why does everybody want to kick me in the dick? I got you wanting to kick me in the dick. I got Adam wanting to kick me there. Anybody else just want to stand in line and just get this dick kickings over with?
Actually, this might be cheaper than a vasectomy.
You're the one that needs cut, not me.
So what? I do have a couple questions. What is your all's big picture? What are you working towards?
Well, our end-term goal is to bring the show free to everybody. We're looking to add some more shows here in the next few years. We're always looking for sponsors too as well. Can't do without our great sponsors.
Well, I know that Derek shakes his head every time I say it. I've been wanting to try to do Mother's Day Madness again.
Yeah.
And is that something that you all would be interested in trying to broadcast?
Yeah, Nebraska Derby is not exclusive to Nebraska.
We're open to every state.
Yeah, it's mildly misleading, but if you contact Trent, hell, we'll go to fucking Hawaii for a derby.
And I'm going to sit here and say
Well, if
this.
you all end up doing that, I'm going with you.
Deal.
I'm going to sit here and say this. I fucking hate you.
No, but if
I
anybody,
couldn't do anything for 6.5 hours away. Don't do a fucking derby.
no, but if anybody's interested in wanting a show being live streamed, Demolition Derby being live streamed, just reach out to us. You can go to NebraskaDerby.com, and I'll have a contact page set up here. Don't have it just yet, but here in the next week or two, when things slow down again, I'll get that set up, and you can reach out to me, NebraskaDerby@gmail.com, and we can set something up if you're interested. And if you're interested in sponsoring, just go to NebraskaDerby.com, hit the sponsorship tab, and our information there is at the bottom of the page, and we'll get you set up for a sponsorship.
XP Derby Parts stepped up to sponsor us last night.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, so XP Derby Parts stepped up to the plate last night to sponsor us for this show, and there's different sponsorship levels, so there's a little bit of perks for depending on what you want to pay, but it's a good way to get your business out there. We promote the heck out of it, and
Your logo's on the website, your logo's on the YouTube live feed, and if you want to sponsor, it doesn't have to be just monetary. If you Derby parts places, you guys want to sponsor parts, we'll take parts, give them away. We'll do a live stream, give them away on the live stream.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, this may be too soon to tell, but how many people did you all have tuned in last night?
So consecutively at our peak, it was around 2,000, but as of this morning, we were at almost 8,000 views just from the live stream playback.
See, that's what I'm talking about, and you all are throwing that out there for people for free. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, there was a couple that mentioned Australia was tuning in. I mean, this live stream stuff, it goes worldwide. So
That group from Australia, they were like, we just do bumper cars down here.
yeah, they didn't know what the heck was going on.
I know that you all have some Canadian viewers as well, because my buddy that lives in Winnipeg Snapchatted me last night, and he was watching it.
Yeah, there was. I mean, like I said, it's worldwide. The amount of reach that you get with this it's actually humbling, and it's pretty incredible.
But
we want to thank everybody that actually watches.
And the best part, it's free. You can't.
Right, yes. I'm telling you, that is my favorite price. If you all haven't noticed on the podcast shit, like, I love free.
Because you're a whore.
Well, that's fine. No, that would require money. I'm a slut.
I thought
They do shit for free.
I thought you couldn't call him that because you know his name.
That is very true.
Damn it.
Yeah, that man has a point.
You can tell who listens. Well, man, we're going to kind of almost wrap this. I think AJ's got something to say to you. Hold up.
So I'm under the impression you're kind of a squirrely Mopar fan too, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What'd you think of that shocker wagon last night, holding up with all those caddies and the Fords?
It was cheated.
Dude,
If you want to see one cheated, make sure you pay attention to Cody later. He's got one.
Number 14.
Oh, I've already been Snapchatting this morning.
oh yeah, Oh yeah. No,
I did get a Snapchat last night and it said, "Did you see that Mopar? It made me erect."
Well, yeah. I mean, if you would have seen that that light weld shocker wagon, I mean, that was not cheated one bit. The front bumper wasn't even freaking loaded, and it had working suspension on all 4 corners.
Lost. He was driving.
Oh yeah, he was
Yes.
driving.
Dude, he was. And that guy is notorious for building Chryslers, too.
Oh, yes.
yes.
He went to Gomat went to River City Rampage
Yeah.
in a Mopar sedan.
Yep.
And done right.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big Mopar fan, and I wouldn't personally bring that car to this type of show, but I was impressed with his driving too. He can drive.
Oh yeah.
He hung in there. I was impressed. That guy can wheel, and I'm curious to see what the strategy and the feature is with that thing tonight.
Well, now he's got plates on the front of it. Man, that's going to be a game changer for that car.
It is big. It is big.
See, I feel like he did exactly what he needed to do to get it through without getting the sub all beat up.
He was trying to feed the back end of the Mo3s, and they weren't taking it because I think he wanted it to dump a little more, but they weren't eating it. So I see him working on it in the pits. It's going to be hard. It's going to be interesting what's going to happen.
Well, guys, I appreciate you guys sitting down with us, taking the time. You guys supporting us. We support you. We keep saying this. If you can't afford free, I don't know what the problem is. The support that you guys show the world of Demolition Derby. Our podcast is roughly in 40 different countries right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what Ethiopia and Indonesia have with demo derbies. So, but if those guys are listening, you can go on to NebraskaDerby.com on YouTube.
Yep.
And you can see and watch what we're talking about, and it costs you $0.
And you can play it back as many times as you want.
Yes.
On top of that, I would also just like to add, I want to thank everyone, especially all the people around this table. You know, we couldn't have this live stream without you guys putting the show together, talking, bringing the commentary to the viewers. And I want to thank you for allowing us to be on your podcast.
Oh man, we appreciate it. This, like everybody says, well, y'all are big time. No, we're not. We're just average dudes that sit around and talk about a sport that we love.
Yeah.
And we also can't do it without all our sponsors. I truly want to thank all our sponsors who support Nebraska Derby.
Something was before we end this. Something was mentioned. Mr. Derek Korth is sitting to my left. He kind of informed me a little bit of something that we have really pushed. Right when Gladiators of Steel came out, we've had a lot of people get a hold of us. How do you watch it? You guys have a second season.
So we just got done filming the second season for Gladiators of Steel Season 2. And, man, you're not going to want to miss this one. It was 4 cars from Full Contact Derby TV versus Matt's Off-Road Recovery. I mean, Robbie Layton, Matt himself, his son, and Paul Cox. And there was...
I've only seen Paul Cox in a truck.
Man, yeah. He everybody that used to run trucks is definitely kind of anti-trucks anymore for how much it used to hurt, myself included. But yeah, Gumby went up and challenged Matt to a 4-on-4 team derby, and you're basically gonna get to see how everybody's build went together. They went to every shop, and there's a lot of drama, and there's a lot of good. I don't know how, the Derby. I'll just be honest with you, the Derby didn't last very long, and it was rough and rowdy. So that's something you're definitely gonna want to watch. That, man, it was.
Now, do we know when that's going to be aired, or have they not have an airing date yet?
Not yet. I would assume maybe by the end of the year, because that's when the last one was released. No telling yet, but just as a fun factor, man, getting in a car, knowing there's no prize money and it's all just pride, that was probably one of the best shows that I felt that I got to run in a long time. Just, there was no pressure. It was just go out and see what you could bend.
Yes.
And it got all hot and nasty fast. It's definitely going to be pretty cool. I mean, the quality that they shot this with, like we're talking, they had cameras that just shot the last Fast and the Furious movie. Like, this is going to be so much better than what 90% of the stuff is on Netflix for just how well it was shot. I mean, they had drones following us in cars doing test and tune, and it was an absolute blast.
Sweet. So, guys, if you have thought about it, I think it's Wheelhouse
TV.
.tv. You can get on. I think it's $14.95. There's bonus footage for the first Gladiators of Steel. There's a family-friendly version, and then there is a not-so-family-friendly version. And anybody that knows us, I promise you, we did not get it for the family-friendly. We want tried and true who somebody is. We don't want somebody having to think about what they're trying not to say.
And that's, everybody asks why it's not out on a major streaming platform yet. There was a lot of problems that those companies had with some of the stuff that was on the cars, like Trump, and they wanted to censor a lot of stuff. And, that whole thing was just about, there are no participation trophies. We're not going to settle. We're not going to meet you there. We are this group of people, and we're proud of it. We're not going to be censored because you don't feel like it's right.
That's the Derby world.
Correct. Tried and true, red, white, and blue, bred into their souls, and nothing is going to change that.
It is. And it's just such a rare sport, and there's so many people that you meet that are just so passionate to their core. They're going to put 200, 300 hours into something just to destroy it in 10 to 15 minutes. And, I don't know any other type of sport that anybody cares that much to do the work.
True blue, redneck, patriotic shit.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
And those are some of the best people that I know and I want to be around.
Yep. Yeah. We've said that this sport, you make family. Friends turn to family, whether it's, brother, sister. That's how you feel about each other. And then the passion when you pull onto that track of your one sole purpose is to take something that you spent 2 months on to drive through somebody or get drove through. I mean, it's
true.
How much more fucking American does shit get?
Exactly. Do you ever notice when you go to a party or some event that if there's any other Derby guys there that you just gravitate towards and you don't really want to talk to anybody else about anything else?
Yeah.
Like, I find that more and more in my life, and
it's magnetism.
It is. It's just the way it is, and I enjoy the heck out of it.
Well, guys, check it out. Wheelhouse, Gladiators of Steel. Catch up on the first episodes or the first season before the second one launches. Free TV, Nebraska Derby. Watch Border Wars. If you didn't get to catch it this weekend, log on to it at any time. You can rewatch it whenever you like. I want to say thank you guys for having us come up here, sitting down in this facility of a bar that just lets us roll into these round tables and set up and let us do our thing. This will launch Thursday. So if you're not doing nothing next weekend, you don't have a derby, you're building in the shop, throw that shit up on YouTube, Nebraska Derby, watch Border Wars. We appreciate you guys for having us. So let's go tonight and let's watch them full send it and finish it off, because we're still going to have Missouri, Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa. You've got consies today. We've got your stock class that Cody's going to be in today.
2 different filler classes, and then we'll have the feature.
So we're going to have a show, boys and girls, and these guys have got plenty of cameras and plenty of camera angles for you to watch all the action while you sit at home, drinking a beverage, eating a steak in your recliner, of just relaxing and watching shit get wrecked. Well, guys, thank you all so much. Usually I ask this other asshole with me, do you guys have any last words?
No, I mean,
Just tune in tonight.
yeah, tune in tonight, and we just want to thank you guys for being here.
Yes, thanks. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview.
Thank you, guys. Make jump, boys.